Hello, welcome to Sha Wellness Clinic cooking class. My name is Lineas Lixi, head chef of Sha. Today we'll see two recipes. First one will be parsnips caramelized with some spicy let's correct myself, with agave. Agave is a nice sweet coming from Mexico that we use in Sha. In Sha we don't use any type of sugar or any type of dairy, so we will use that substitute to be able to have a healthy nutrition. What's going to be on that recipe? Spice. Let's talk about the spice. Some cinnamon, anise star, some Jamaican pepper, some cardamom, some cumin, a bit of coriander seed, and a bit of cloves. For the parsnips, we want 2 parsnips, 2 shallots, a bunch of rosemary, and also a frying pan. That will be useful for the cooking of today. Let's start the recipe. We're going to start by toasting our spice. Very important. The toasting of spice, why is so important? Because as it is, if we buy grounded spice or whole grain spice, the grounded spice will lose the flavor of it. The whole spice will have all the flavor, but we need something to wake up that spice. So by the fact to warm it, toast it, will give us that satisfaction. So in a frying pan, we put all our spice together and gently we're going to toast them. Slowly you will start to smell the flavor of them. We could do that at the oven at 165 degrees for 5 minutes. It will have the same result. But better using the pan because straight away we could add the agave syrup into it and add flavor to our honey. After a few minutes of toasting, you want to remove the cinnamon stick and pull the other element of spice into a mortar. If you don't have that tool at home, you could use any blender to do it. I'm not going to do advertising, but a kind of Thermomix or any food processor will be okay. And you just want to grind it a little bit to break it. That's going to help you really to infuse well your agave and have a nice spice flavor into it. And now we're going to pull back into our same frying pan. That smells Christmas. And now we're going to come and add our agave that I mix roughly 100 milliliters of agave syrup with 100 milliliters of water. And we're going to let it reduce by half. So now we have the agave spice on the way. We're going to pass at the veg preparation. So we will take the parsnips. We want to peel it. And now we're passing at the cutting. So to cut the parsnip, we want to remove both hands. We could keep the trimming for veg stock, and we're going to cut it in half. Like that. Again in half. And we want to remove the middle of it. It's quite hard. That way. So now we have the parsnips ready. We're going to use a little bit of sesame oil, the equivalent of 1 coffee spoon. The good thing of the sesame oil, it don't get absorbed so fast by the ingredients, so you will have enough for the parsnips. Very important to preheat the pan. We want to stir fry quickly the parsnips. We don't want to give them too much color. Try to use the curve of your pan for the round part of the parsnips. That will help you to have an even coloration. And we're going to add the rosemary. So that's fresh from the garden of Sha. We're gonna add a little bit of salt. We're gonna add a little bit of water. And we're gonna bake it in the oven for about 10 minutes at 180 degrees. While we're waiting for the parsnips and for the agave spice, we could prep the shallot. So the shallot, we just need to peel it, and we're gonna slice it finely. That's gonna be one of our decoration to finish the dish. So now the 10 minutes passed. Let's see how is our parsnips. Ooh la la. That smells gorgeous, but also look gorgeous. So now that we have our parsnips nicely cooked, how can I check if it's cooked? Just by putting a knife into it, and if it's enter easily and remove himself easily, that means it's ready. Now the next step will be to glaze it. So to glaze it, we have our honey who's ready, as you can see, with the spice. You don't need to pass it through a sieve or a chinois. With the spice, we can definitely add into our pan. We don't want to add too much. And we just want to glaze it. With a pinch of salt to balance. And we finish that with some chopped chives. And we can go in the plate. We have the parsnip glazed and ready. We can go and plate. It's a very good starter for Christmas period to enjoy with the family. We can finish that dish with parsley, just for decoration. You add a touch of green into it, but also with some raw shallot that we previously prepped. And we could finish with a little bit of glazed agave. Et voilà. Glazed parsnips with spice. Here we go again, but this time for the main course. We'll have a texture of pumpkin, butternut squash, with some red gambas from the Mediterranean Sea. So, to start our recipe, let's start by the gambas, because we need to prep a sauce for that. So, we're gonna remove the head from it, all of them, and we're gonna pour it into a pot. And we're gonna toast them with a little bit of sesame oil and rosemary. We add a little bit of sesame oil into it, the equivalent of 1 coffee spoon. The rosemary. And we're gonna let it cook until nice caramelization of the head. Roughly 10 to 15 minutes. So that we have the head toasting, we're gonna peel our gambas to remove the shell from it, but also we're gonna clean them. But also the most important is to remove the gunk from it. So from that, we'll need a small recipient with water, a small knife, and we're gonna need to cut the top remove. You could use also that recipient to clean your knife, as it is. So now that we have the gambas ready and clean, we can save them in the fridge. So now let's pass on the preparation of the pumpkin. So we have a nice butternut squash. We will use the top part of it to do our pumpkin ball and the bottom part for the cream. So for the top part, let's use a speed peeler. So now that we have the top part peeled, it would be nice to use a Parisian scoop or pomme parisienne and just help us to form that nice small bee of pumpkin. The good thing of it, the part that we're not gonna do small ball, we could use it for the cream. So now that we have our pumpkin ready, a little spoon of sesame oil, a pinch of salt. We mix everything and we go to the oven for roughly 5 minutes at 180 degrees. For the cream now, we just use the trim of the pumpkin by removing the head of it, slice it. Smaller you cut it, faster will cook. And we're gonna add it into our pot with water and a little bit of cinnamon. Remind you, we are in Christmas time. You could use also cardamom, but the cinnamon matches it well. When we have that, we want to cover it. So now that we have the lid on and the cream gonna cook, we're gonna start the preparation of the mushroom and the onion. For the mushroom, I choose that cep. It's very nice, very seasonal for autumn and winter season. So from that cep, we will cut it in two. Voila. Again in two. And again in two. So middle for middle. Then we're gonna pass with the onion. So we have a nice onion. Cut it in two. By following the shape of it. Now that we have the head nice and caramelized, we're gonna add to it a bit of rice cream. And that's gonna be our sauce. So the rice cream is a good replacement of the double cream. Very low in fat, but also in calorie. And we're gonna let it cook for about 10 minutes. But before that, we're gonna add a little bit of water and we're gonna let it cook for 10 more minutes. Just to reduce and have a nice texture and flavor. So, let's check our butternut squash. Ooh la 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 la. That's lovely. Nice, perfectly roast and ready. So we're gonna keep it on the side. So now let's go for the cooking of the mushroom. So now that we have the pumpkin ready, the cream on the way, the gambas clean, let's go for the cooking of our mushroom. So for that, we're gonna start by a little bit of extra virgin sesame oil. We're gonna start by the onion. Make sure you separate them well. We're gonna add rosemary, but just the leaves, and a pinch of salt. But also a little bit of coriander seed, the equivalent of a coffee spoon. With a little bit of water, and we're gonna let it cook for 5 minutes. The water gonna help us to cook the onion quite fast and easily, without burning and getting dry. So now that we have the onion nice caramelized, we're gonna add the mushroom to it. But make sure that to remove the onion, that the mushroom will be in direct contact with the pan. And we're gonna let it cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. So now we have the onion and the mushroom ready. We're gonna season our gambas to add it to it to finish the cooking of it. So for the gambas, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sesame oil. We mix it well. And we place them in the center of the pan. And we let them cook for no more than 5 minutes. So they are very sensitive, but the good thing of it, we're gonna finish the cooking with our sauce, let's say, our bisque. So for that, we need a nice ladle, a nice tummy, and we're just gonna deglaze our sauce to it and switch off the fire. We switch off the fire and add a nice chopped chives to it. We have a nice mix, and look at that. Let's pass to the dressing now. So this is our pumpkin cream. Previously we blended it with a hand blender. So we start by the pumpkin cream. Then we'll go with our small pumpkin bowl. Our mushroom and red gambas. And we finish with a little bit more of chopped parsley, but also some leaves of basil. Et voilà.
Hello, I am Andrés Moran, Healthy Pastry Chef at Wellness Clinic, and today we will show you the perfect dessert for our menu. For this dessert we need the next ingredients: soya yogurt, sunflower oil, agave syrup, cinnamon, salt, ginger zest, baking soda, lemon zest, arrowroot, grind carrot, corn flour, and rice flour. And now we blend all the ingredients. Okay, we have already preheat the oven at 160 degrees. And now we put the carrot mixture at mold. Okay, now we put in the oven. While the carrot cake is in the oven for 10 minutes, we will make the coconut cream with coconut cream, cinnamon, orange zest, agar-agar, and kuzu. Once cooked, let's put the cream on the plate. And cool down on the fridge. Now, let's caramelize the apple juice with carrots, turmeric, and black pepper. Okay, already we have the caramelized spiced carrots. The sponge is cooled down and the coconut cream is cool and looks like jelly. Let's crumble the sponge. And now just put the sponge on the top. And finish with the carrots and flowers. And this is our carrot cake.